Southeastern Bow Hunter Podcast.
What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of Southeastern Bow Hunter Podcast. In this episode, we're going to have Justin from Bloodlines Archery come on to tell us everything about Bloodlines Archery. As you know, these conversations always go probably the complete opposite way that we planned on doing it. But, you know, I like to shoot from the hip, so hopefully you guys enjoy it. Make sure to go subscribe on the Southeastern Bow Hunter YouTube page and also follow us on Spotify and Apple. It really helps out a lot. Leave us a review. Reach out to me. If you guys have any guests you want to get on, definitely let me know. If you have certain brands you want to see come on here, I can reach out to them. I want to hear from you guys. So before we get into that with Justin, I got to run through the partners. Working Class Bow Hunter, you can get the merch off their website, workingclassbowhunter.com. Osseo Gear is my camo brand of choice. There's some new stuff coming from Osseo, so keep on the lookout for that. Summit Tree Stands, dude, they cover everything when it comes down to tree stands, so please go to summitstands.com. The Bowtique, dude, that episode last week with Mike, excuse me, Mike and Pope was awesome. I hope you guys really enjoyed it. Go to the Boutique to get your custom arrow wraps, and also go to Arrows Anonymous to get some custom arrows made. Those guys do some really good work, and believe me, you will not be disappointed. Next up is going to be Bergie Bowsmith. As you know, Bergie's been a good buddy of mine for about a year now, and he is a wizard with bows. So go to his website, bergiebowsmith.com. It's also a dealer for a lot of the brands that we use, and basically the ones we use and trust. So definitely help him out. G5 Outdoors. I'm going to be using the Mega Meat this year for deer and the dead meat and the T2 testing on hogs to see maybe, you know, if I want to use those on deer. G5 is a staple in the broadhead industry. They have the Montec, the Striker X, the Striker V2, Mega Meat, dead meat, and T2. So go to G5 Outdoors, check out everything that they have, and pick your broadhead for this upcoming season. Next up is going to be Prime Archery. So I finally ordered my form. I'm getting it in the Recon Gray with Osseo limbs. It should be here in hopefully about 4 weeks. Was been talking to Brian, solidified everything, confirmed everything. So I am super excited to be showing you guys that bow. When it gets here, I'm probably going to be showing it off on whatever episode I'm doing then. So be on the lookout for that. If you want to get a new bow, go to primearchery.com, look at the form, and check out the RVX Plus 32 and 34. They make some great, amazing bows. They're extremely comfortable to shoot, very forgiving, and I love the center grip technology. So they're innovative, and I love that. So definitely check them out. Go pick your new bow out from Prime today. Dialed Archery. That proof is sick. If you're watching the video, you can see it back there. It's waiting on the form to get here, and then it will be on there, sighted in, and ready for attack and for this deer season. I can't wait, man. Dialed makes a great sight. If you guys are in the market for a new sight, definitely go check out Dialed Archery and customize your sight to whatever your bow color is. They have tons of options, so definitely go check them out. Ace Hardware and Social Circle, great shop, great people that run it. They will literally have you covered from bow tuning to products. So if you want to make the drive, go to Social Circle, Georgia, check out Ace Hardware, tell them that we sent you. Scoutek, talked with Ryan today. There's a little bit of a delay on the new camera, but he's got some really cool ideas in the works. So you guys really need to pay attention to that. If you want to get some of the new, or not new, but if you want to get some of the Scoutek cameras for this summer to, you know, keep inventory on your deer, go to scoutek.com and check out those cameras that they offer. They've been working great for me. Camo Dust. As you guys know, Camo Dust, I use that to stay concealed in the woods. It's the only thing I've ever used that I don't get smelled. So get the 6-pack, try it out. If you don't know how to do it right, go back and listen to our episode, me and Chris, or reach out to me and I'll help you out. Boning Archery. So I'm going to be running the Boning Alpha Veins. It's a new vein that just came out. There is a code coming for you guys. I don't have it yet, but it is coming. So be on the lookout for that. Go to boatingarchery.com. Check out all of the veins. They are partnered up with the Boutique and Arrows Anonymous and a few other arrow building, platforms. Great product. Been around for 80 years. Hey, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And last but not least, The Chase. That is my buddy Brock's YouTube channel. He does turkey hunting, deer hunting videos. It's all stuff like that. So go support those guys. Help support our partners. All the codes for the partners that have codes are going to be in the description on either this video or in the episode description. So go check that out to save you some money. And look, before we get into it with Justin, man, I've just got to talk to y'all about Jesus for a minute. I do it every single episode. And I know that, or I'm not going to say I know, but I've had some people reach out to me and be like, hey, man, we really appreciate you doing this. So, I mean, if I can just bring one person to the Lord, that's all I'm really trying to do here. But if you don't know who Jesus is, I really, really think you should give him a shot. He's been working wonders in my life. I've been seeing more and more of him around here lately than I ever have, and I can feel the love and the safety that comes with him. I've seen some really cool blessings come upon people from their faith in him, and praying for them. And it's amazing. So open up your Bible, go check out what Jesus has to tell you, and start building that relationship. Trust me, you won't regret it. So before we're done. That's everything. So let's get into it with Justin from Bloodlines Archery. Justin Ingalls, is that how you say it?
Yes, sir.
I wasn't sure if it was Ingles. Throw a little spice on that. Yeah, man, we got Justin Ingalls here from Bloodlines Archery. I've known about you for quite a while, dude. I think I've been following you on Instagram for a while. And then me and Mike from the Bowtique were talking a couple weeks ago, and I was kind of bouncing ideas off of him. I was like, dude, I don't want to do the same song and dance, getting the same people on all the time. He's like, oh, named out a bunch of people. He's like, dude, check out Bloodlines. And so reached out and we got you on here. So I guess the people who want to know, man, like who are you? Because I want to know this too. I want to know the background. Like, how'd you get to where you are?
Cool. Well, shout out to Mike from the Bowtique. I really appreciate him thinking of me. It's kind of one of those things where it's like not really imposter syndrome because I'm not anybody, but like whenever someone thinks about you, it's flattering. So I appreciate Mike. Now this all kind of started, I guess 4 or 5 years ago. I was laying in bed talking to my wife. I was like, man, I just wish I could just hunt full time. And she was like, she asked me, she's like, if you could do anything, what would it be? I was like, I just hunt. And she's like, why don't you start somewhere? So I got on Instagram and just started a page, probably like many people do, and slowly getting the ball rolling. It's basically where I'm at. So the idea behind Bloodlines, it was me and my best friend from college. We kind of started talking together. He has a media communications degree, so he's great with the camera and stuff.
Wow.
But he lives 4 hours from here. So the original plan was he was looking to move this way. I'm in central Kentucky. I'm just outside Lexington. Oh, okay. So he was looking to move this way. That fell through. So kind of ended up going solo on it. We hunt together occasionally still. We just don't get to see each other. He's still 4 hours away, which is unfortunate, but that kind of got the ball rolling. We came up with the idea of Bloodlines because he's really into like history and that side of things, and I'm just into doing. So Bloodlines is obviously about our bloodlines. So hunting is a very important part of all of our past, present, and future. So all of us come from ancestors that hunted in some capacity to provide for the family. And somewhere along those bloodlines, it got lost. It could be someone's dad passed away, or they grew up in an area where you couldn't hunt, whatever. So the idea behind Bloodlines is to reintroduce hunting to those bloodlines. It was originally Bloodlines Outdoors. Then some guy got on my page and said he was going to sue me over the name because he had a show at one point called Bloodlines, or Bloodline, no S, Bloodline Outdoors.
Yeah.
He's like, once I buy this name back, like I'm going to sue you over this. I'm just like, whatever, man, you can have it. I get to change it to archery. I primarily do archery anyways, so kind of weird. Then he tried to give me a discount code for gear. I'm like, what the heck? What are you talking about?
That's that guilt kicking in. Like, oh man, I probably shouldn't have done that. Let me band-aid this up a little bit.
He's like 60 something, like trying to threaten me over it. I'm like, dude, like I don't make any money off this. I don't know what you're going to sue it for, but
dude, the hunting industry is a weird place, isn't it?
Yeah,
dude. I was just talking to a buddy of mine about that today, where it's like there's goods and there's bads, and the bad side of it is most of the time just completely ridiculous. It's like small things, and you hear about people going back and forth, and it's like, why are y'all even wasting that time and energy? You put that much time and energy into your product, you might actually, grow a little bit. I mean, look, Jesus said, why point out the speck in your brother's eye when you got a plank in your own? So I probably should stop, but I don't know. I've been seeing a lot of it lately, man, and it really bothers me.
Yeah. I mean, it's constant. So you got to roll with the punches. You got to roll with the good and the bad of social media. So, I mean, no matter what you post, no matter how much you know, there's always going to be someone come in who knows it better, whether they do or not. You know, from everything from like, I'll post a video of me shooting the bow at the kids, and they'll be like, well, that bow's too big for him. I'm like, obviously he's 2. Yeah. Like, they don't make
into it. That's crazy. Yeah, dude, social media, I didn't think we'd even touch on this, to be honest, but social media I feel like it's one of those necessary evils, like one of the things where, because I use this platform to try and, spread the word to people. I'm not doing like a full sermon or anything, but I'll drop it in there from time to time. It's in every intro. And that side of it, I feel like is good. But then you see other sides where I was talking to somebody a couple of weeks ago about like how hunters, it was Ben from Sodak Horizon.
Yeah.
And no, you know what? I'm sorry. No, it wasn't Ben. It was Bergie from Bergie Bowsmith. Okay. And I was on his podcast and we were talking about respect for the animal. And I was telling him about a story that, somebody I know who, I guess I know of them, right? Went coyote hunting, thought they killed this coyote, tied it to the back of their truck, drove like 3 miles. And then when they got out of the truck, the coyote was still alive. And they were laughing about it. And I'm like, dude, imagine that on social media, right? And stuff like that out there. So I don't know. I mean, do you think that side of social media is here to stay? Or do you think with people that just really understand the respect for these animals that eventually it'll go away?
There's always going to be some level of ignorance and stupidity. That's just the world we live in. So, social media was originally, designed to be a good way to stay in touch with people from high school, college, whatever. But it's turned into more of a social distancing platform, I think, instead of a social media. Like, if you look at kids today, I was telling someone about this at work. It was either today or yesterday. I'm like, back when I was in high school, 12, 13 years ago, if we had a bonfire, we're all hanging out around the bonfire. Like, we probably did some dumb stuff, but we're creating memories together and we're present where we're at. Where now you get 10 kids around a bonfire, they're all looking at their phone, seeing what everybody else is doing, creating this false sense of what reality really is when they're missing out on what's right in front of them. Yeah. So I think that's the biggest issue with social media is the social awkwardness and the social distancing that it creates. But going back to what you were talking about, like the stupidity, you got, not to dump on Josh Bomar. I think Josh Bomar does a lot of great things, but you got to admit he's kind of a knucklehead. Like sometimes he just does stuff and it's like, that could have been done differently, but he shows you everything. Like he shows you, like he'll burn his truck down. He's like, that was stupid. Like I caught my truck on fire. Yeah. But I can also shoot turkeys in 10,000 frames per second, which is super cool. So you're going to get guys like that show you everything, the good and the bad. You're going to get you the guys that only show you the highlights. You're going to get the guys or gals, whatever, that only show you the stupidity, like a coyote getting dragged or whatever. Stuff that shouldn't be on there that just gives hunters a bad name. Yeah, dude, don't even get me started on the huntress side of this stuff. That stuff is ridiculous. I mean, honestly, guys like Bomar, I think in a sense they're good for the industry because it's entertaining. And I think, because I've listened to him on other podcasts multiple times, and from what I can gather, I've never talked to him, but from what I can gather, he knows it's entertaining. He's doing it to be entertaining and kill 7 or 8 200-inch deer at this point. Yeah, something ridiculous. Yeah, it's insane. So like the dude knows what he's doing, right? Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. I worry about it because it's like, where's everything going to be at in 10 years? Right. Is everything going to be outlawed, or is it just going to be a free for all? And we're going to see some of the craziest stuff that we've ever seen. Thankfully, TikTok, as much as it bothers me and I can't stand it, most of the stuff that you see isn't gonna. Trying to think of the right way to put it. It's not going to be like the bloody side of stuff, I mean, I've had a few clips where I have to cut it short right as that arrow gets to the deer. But I don't see anything on there where it's like the tongue hanging out, bloody nose, all over. And I mean, it doesn't bother me, but I can understand
like that needs to change, you know?
Right.
We need to show people what it's like, but all we're doing when we do stuff where it's like the full thing is we're giving PETA a lot of ammo.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, there's more of them than there is of us. So
I don't know if there's more of them. They're just louder.
true.
I don't know if there's necessarily more. It's just always, the squeaky wheel gets old. So, so many hunters are so passive. They're not willing to stand up for anything because the moment you do, you get shot down by 1,000 ways. And so many men are weak because they crumble under any kind of pushback.
Yeah.
Pet peeve of mine. Well, I'll touch on a couple things. Part of me, like I get the tongue hanging out and the blood and stuff. Just push the tongue back in.
Yeah.
Cut it out. Not that big of a deal. But at the same time, when it comes to my kids, I show them that kind of stuff because
for sure.
This is the reality.
Yeah.
I'm not going to baby you and pamper you from this. You're going to understand, like, we are taking the life of an animal, and that's okay because we are using this as nutritional benefit for us.
Yeah.
But like you said, on the social media side of things, you got to flirt with it without doing too much. If you know anything about Serious Archery, they have a YouTube, Serious TV, and a way they kind of get around it is whenever they approach the animal after they've killed it, and they walk up on it, they gray it out. So
I've seen that on a few YouTube channels now.
Yeah, so check out Serious TV. They do a great job with it. Connor and Seth, they go to Africa a couple times. They do awesome. But I was circling back somewhere with that, and I forgot what it was. Oh, another thing is like hunters that won't even stand up for like their state legislation for stuff that makes sense. Everything from like lighted knocks. Like in some states, it's illegal to shoot lighted knocks. I'm like,
yeah.
Do you not realize like they're not shooting a laser at this deer? Like it's to help you recover your animal more ethically, or whatever, any kind of like battery on your sight, like just to make a more ethical shot. Like almost everything hunters do is to be more ethical, but they don't want to push back or they don't want to vote. That drives me crazy. Hunters and outdoorsmen that won't vote or are registered to vote, like they're not even registered. Like I won't go down that rabbit hole. We'll be here for 3 hours.
Yeah, I mean, the lighted knock thing, dude, I have had that conversation off the podcast many times because I love lighted knocks. I mean, if I pull my arrows right now, they all have them. And I have plans in the next few years to go out to Colorado and hunt muleys.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I haven't looked. I don't know if lighted knocks are still illegal there, but it makes no sense.
No.
They're not? Okay, good.
Oh, no, I don't know. I agree. It makes no sense. Like that's
yeah. It's just like, because I love them for the mere fact, because I don't really film my hunts, right? But I like being able to know when I'm drawn back that when I let this thing go, I can follow where that arrow is going.
Yeah.
And I don't know, dude, that has never made sense to me. Like what benefit or what's the benefit to not have a lighted knock or basically have it be illegal,
Yeah.
So
yeah. Like I understand guys that don't want to shoot them because they weigh 25 grains. I get that. You'd rather shoot a 7 grain knock, have a higher FOC. I understand that side of it too. But at the same time, like I want to find my arrow ASAP. Right?
Yeah. These arrows ain't cheap, man. Not at all.
No.
It's jeez. I don't know. That one always grinded my gears. But all right. Well, look, we have covered a lot in what, 5 minutes, 10 minutes?
Yeah, sorry.
Much.
I'm the type of person, like, I know what I'm going to say, and I say it in, like, 2 sentences.
Yep.
Like, back in high school, they're like, write me a 3-page essay on why you think this. I'm like, I can write you a 3-sentence essay and get the same point across because I'm going to say this, and that's it.
Just cut straight to the chase, man. So, all right, what I want to ask you about is how did you, like, get into hunting? Do you come from a hunting family? Is it something you had to do on your own?
No, so I grew up. As a little kid, my dad didn't really hunt. Then when I was probably, I don't know, 8 or so, he kind of got back in hunting. He grew up hunting in Ohio with shotguns and stuff. And so I remember him taking my brother out when my brother was probably 10 or 11 and shot a little, I don't remember, it was like a 4-point or something. And that was a big deal. Like dad shot a deer. And I remember they were looking for it. And my brother's like, you think it's over there behind that rock? and well, that rock was the deer. It was, and I remember that was like the first story I remember of deer hunting, and it was cool. And then my brother was super into Lord of the Rings. My brother's 2 years older than me, so he's like 10, 12 at this point maybe. And so I was watching it too, and I got fascinated by Legolas shooting a bow, and I'm like, well, I want a bow. And so my dad got me a little Matthew Genesis bow, and he ended up shooting too, and he got a McPherson bow from buddies at work. He'd shoot with them, and I'd shoot with him, and I went from that to a little Parker buckshot when I was probably seventh or eighth grade, and then started bow hunting. Then. So my very first ever bow hunt, it still haunts me to this day. I fell asleep. I was in a double stand with my dad, and I just fell right asleep. Morning, early season, Kentucky, so Velvet is still in.
Oh.
This nice 8-point walks in, and my dad's waking me up. He's like, deer, deer, deer. And by the time I get my bearings about me, I look up, and the 8 points behind this fence, and the 6 points right behind him. So I stand up, draw. My dad's filming it, this little handy cam, and 7 pixels on it or whatever. And I shoot, and it jumps my string, and it ducks, and they run off. Never saw those 2 deer again. On film, if it hadn't ducked, probably would have been like top of the heart, double lung. But it jumped my string. I missed it by like an inch over its head. And that was when I was probably 13, 14, and probably 13 because I was still shooting at Parker. And I have yet to get a velvet buck in Kentucky, and I've pretty much lived here. I'm 30 now, so half my life I've been hunting, haven't got a velvet buck yet.
That's always been a goal of mine because I keep talking to some buddies of mine at DNR, and I'm like, "Are you guys ever going to do a velvet season in Georgia?" Because we could do like Tennessee, we could do a season and just get it started, and it's been talked about, but a velvet buck, man, that is definitely on the hit list for sure. So Kentucky, though, I mean, Kentucky's known, at least, I don't know if it's always been known, but I know now it's known for some really good deer.
As of recent, like it used to not be a trophy state. Like growing up down in Southern Kentucky, I was right on the Tennessee border. I mean, we'd go all season, and if I saw 10 does, it was a big season. And my dad killed some decent bucks down there where we grew up. I never shot a buck down there. Shot a couple, maybe one doe, maybe. I didn't get a Kentucky buck until 2 years ago. I had Ohio bucks because my family ended up moving to Ohio, but I continued to Kentucky. But there's just nothing that really got me excited. And not to take away from anything else, like at some point you just got to start shooting deer.
Yeah.
But I had some Ohio bucks, and I'd let some Kentucky ones walk, always hoping them to get to. If they got to 3 years old, I'd shoot them, but they'd get shot before then. And a couple years ago, it came together. I shot a buck second week of season, and he had no. No, it's at my in-laws. But he was completely out of velvet, like second week of season, which is like September. I think it was September 12th or something. Oh, wow. And no velvet. Then this year, I was hunting with my wife, and I had 2 bucks I was chasing at her parents' place. And one I had in full velvet. I had him at 30 yards. We called him King Daddy. He was the dominant buck. He wasn't giant. He was probably 140s. Good sized buck. Definitely would have shot him. That's
a good buck.
Yeah, definitely would have shot him. He would have been probably my second or third biggest buck. Sorry, my light's going off. I had him at 30 yards, but he was just over this barbed wire fence. And I was like, I'm not sure if that's our property or not. I was like, either way, I'm going to see if he comes in closer and let my wife get a shot at him. Well, I turned my camera on to film him, or my phone, and I don't know if my flash was on or something, but as soon as I turned that on, he turned and looked at me. And he walked away. And then 3 days later, my brother-in-law's girlfriend shot him. First time ever deer hunting. Smoked him. And she was like, was that a good deer? I'm like, was that a good deer? Are you kidding me? Like, that thing's a giant. It had an inch and a half fat on him, probably weighed 220.
Jeez, man.
Yeah, he had velvet hanging off of him at that point. It was just 2 days later, but he'd been rubbing. And she's a nurse. She was more excited about the gut pile. She was like taking pictures of like how big the guts were. I was like, that's a little weird.
Oh my God. Hey, Trophy is in the eye of the beholder, man. I'm telling you.
Right.
That's crazy.
Like, you're going to shoot him for the size of the liver instead of the size of the rack.
I would have been like, hey, you can keep the guts if you want to give me the deer. I mean, if that's all you care about.
That's what you want. Like, I'll cook this heart up for you.
Yeah. So, I mean, being in Kentucky, do you mostly hunt just Kentucky and Ohio?
Yeah, Kentucky and Ohio. So my family's from Ohio. We moved to Kentucky when I was 4. They moved back to Ohio when I was 18, so I followed them. But then I came back to Kentucky. So I'm halfway between where I grew up and where my parents live. So I'm
what
like
part
2
of
hours. What's that?
What part of Kentucky?
If you're familiar with Lexington, Kentucky, I'm like 30 minutes east of it. Little town called Lexington.
Gotcha. I used to drive. Well, I didn't drive, but when I was a kid, we would go back up to Illinois where my family's at, and we'd always stay in Paducah.
Oh yeah,
dude,
that's
I would see so many deer. It was nuts. I've never been able to hunt out of state yet. I'm working on it, but Ohio is definitely on the list, man. I mean, Ohio's got some slammers, especially like the last 3-4 years. I mean, I'm sure they've always had big deer, but like you got the Alexander buck, you got that 212 that Lee shot. I mean, is it becoming normal?
I don't know if it's becoming normal or if it's just like, social media is making it relevant, or making it more prominent, I guess, not relevant.
Yeah.
Like Lee, what Lee does, that's people can't do that.
It's a whole nother level.
Yeah, it's a whole nother level. He says, he's like, that's exhausting. Like he shot that buck up this past year. What do you name it? It was like Hercules or
Goliath.
Goliath, yeah. Named it Goliath. Then the one last year, Bane had a big drop time up in like Akron area.
Are you talking about the quadruple drop time buck?
Maybe
it was like the curved main beams and then the 2 on the side.
Yeah, I think so. He shot there's like a near a drug addict or something like that.
Yeah. God, what was that deer's name?
Yeah. I mean, kudos to Lee. Like, if someone could do that and be that successful, like, that's freaking hard work. Driving all the way from Georgia up to Ohio. That's a boring drive, too.
Oh, yeah.
It done, like, I have nothing but respect for those guys. Like, there's so many different ways to hunt deer. Like, the way he's doing it and get his 200-inch deer takes a ton of work. The way Bomar's doing it and getting 200-inch deer takes a ton of work. So, different strokes for different folks, man. Like, if you're going to spend thousands of dollars making food plots and getting your funnel set up and all that stuff, great. If you're going to drive all over the states, get it done, great. Like, whatever floats your boat. Like,
yeah. I mean, my uncle lives in Colorado, and every time I see him, he always gives me crap, saying that like whitetail hunters are what is it he says? It's something like tree monkeys with little debbies or something like that. Because he just goes up in the mountains, and I mean, he's a billy goat, right? Yeah. But every single time he makes that joke, I'm like, dude, do you know who Lee Ellis is? Do you know who Josh Bomar is? Like, nah. That's like I feel like the top level right now of whitetail hunting.
Yeah.
You've got the time and the money. I mean, you can kill so many big deer. I mean, Lee, I have to say, dude, Lee's season last year, every single season, because I keep up with what they do. Yeah. And I'm like, I think it was 2023. I'm like, dude, there's no way he's gonna have a better season. There's no way. And then he kills what, 4 or 5 Boone and Crockett deer in the season. Yeah.
He killed that giant out west or out in the Midwest.
Yeah.
That public land. That was the sickest shot ever. Dude. The videographer there, I forgot his name, but I watched the whole podcast.
Slade, I think.
Was that Slade?
I think it was Slade. I don't know. I don't remember.
It wasn't. It was man, what's his name? He had a super crazy story. I'll try to send you that link of the podcast, that guy's story. But it was like he was kidnapped when he was a kid and didn't know it.
Oh yeah. I did listen to that. God, what was his name?
Yeah, super cool guy.
Yeah.
Golly, we're blanking on everything tonight.
I know. Dude, it's been a long day.
When I make you do a podcast this late at night.
No. Dude, I did one recently. It was at like 9 o'clock. I didn't even get done till 10:30. And I was like, dude, I can't do that again. I think it was Bergie. Actually, if I'm not mistaken, Bergie had me do it late. And I'm like, dude, what are we doing? It's like, I got to get up at 4 a.m. tomorrow. And it went good, but we just talked about arrows the entire time. So, yeah. But yeah, man, Ohio's got something, because I've always wanted to do like Illinois. I mean, I was born in Illinois, lived there for a few years. Me and my dad used to go to this game preserve by the house and just watch these giant deer out in the field all the time.
Yeah.
So, like, Illinois has definitely got a special place in my heart, but it's so difficult to get. I feel like it's so difficult to get on good deer there.
Yeah.
The public land and how pressured it is. So Ohio has definitely been kind of on my radar now, especially seeing what's coming out of there.
Yeah.
I do want your opinion though. So do you listen to hunting podcasts?
Off and on. Like, I'm not religious on it. I've got so much stuff going on. Like, I don't have time to just sit and listen to podcasts. I listen to more podcasts in the summer when I'm mowing.
Mm-hmm.
But like during the winter months and stuff, like, not really.
Gotcha. So did you by any chance listen to the Hunter podcast episode with Spookspan?
Is that the one where they said like Lee Ellis is paying to hunt?
Yes.
No, I didn't listen to it, but I heard Lee talk about it.
Okay. So in that episode, he was talking about a theory he had about Ohio and just a lot of these states that are really starting to produce big deer. Mm-hmm. He thinks that there's high fence operations these deer are getting out of and their genetics are spreading. Is that something you think might be happening?
I mean, those high fence deer, were at one point not high fence deer. Their genetics were out there. So, I mean, genetics are genetics. So I guess you selectively breeding and making them big. I mean, maybe, but like, I see no harm, no foul. Like, if they do, like, doesn't change the environment. Might make some bigger bucks. Okay, I'm cool with it.
Complain.
Yeah, I'm not complaining.
I definitely wouldn't complain.
I dated a girl when I was in college. Her dad raised deer.
Oh wow.
He didn't raise them for hunting or anything, but he had a 2.5-year-old buck named Bronco. And he was, I think, 208 or 212 inches.
So here's my real question. Did you cut a hole in the fence?
No, I wanted to.
Missed opportunity.
Yeah. That's the coolest thing was like just walking back there and Bronco, like you didn't get in the fence with Bronco. Like, the area, like only her dad got in the fence there. I played with like the fawns and stuff, or I almost said breastfeed them. I'd bottle feed them. Definitely wasn't breastfeeding any deer.
I hope not.
Yeah, that's why we broke up. Actually, they caught me breastfeeding the deer. They're like,
I'm gonna clip that. Yeah. That is going on TikTok. Breastfeeding deer.
Breastfeeding deer with bloodlines.
That's the secret. That's how you grow big bucks.
Yeah,
that's what everybody's doing. Okay.
Yeah, that's it.
Fair enough.
Yeah, that it was super cool to see. I mean, he'd have year-old bucks that were like 140, and like I don't even know what he did with them. Like he didn't hunt them. He had a tree stand in their fences, but he wouldn't hunt them. He'd just go back there and just sit and just like watch his deer. And I don't know if he did them for scent, or maybe I think he sold off some of the bucks to other farms to hunt, but like he didn't hunt them at all. And it was pretty cool to see. And like I wish I could go back and like talk to him more about like how that works, because it was just a hobby. Like it was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Like, I got a buddy of mine. 73-inch deer walk. I remember he let it walk like 5 times before he shot it. That thing was just giant. I'm like, how'd you let that thing walk? That's bigger than anything I've ever seen. But that's Southern Ohio.
Yeah, those deer breeding organizations, man. Like my buddy's got one of his uncles raises deer, and he was telling me a story this past fall about a buck that he knew, or not knew, but a buck he had, and I think he was like, I forget the name, but he was like 3.5 years old. He was 350 inches. Yeah.
And that poor deer, that thing's head's got to hurt.
I know. I'm like, dude, what is he feeding him? He's like, they're just not stressed out and they get high protein. Yeah. And it's genetic, selection. It's crazy, dude. Like we have a few high fence operations around here, and I've heard stories of deer getting out, and looking back in some of the county records in this area, I can kind of see that. Because I think one of the counties I hunt in, the record is like what was it? Net 192 or something like that. And you can't see it on this buck back here, but this buck back here has 3 brow tines on one side. This other buck, and I'm not saying they're related, but I mean, who knows? But this 191 buck had 3 brow tines on each side, and then just stickers and everything throughout the entire rack. And I've literally not seen another deer like that. And I mean, it was killed back in the 50s, so I don't know if there was high fence operations going on back then, but it's like you were saying, those genetics are there. I mean, we see them. Look at the Brewster buck, that's what we don't really get around here is a lot of non-typical. So I mean, do you guys have non-typicals kind of more prevalent around y'all, or is it mostly just
mostly typicals? I mean, up on my parents' farm in Ohio, there was a drop time buck. I don't know, 8-9 years ago. We had a couple pictures of him. Never had a shot at him. And the drop times we're seeing are like 3-inch drops, right? Yeah. They're not clubs coming off there. But they're there. It's just not as typical. Well, obviously that's why it's called non-typical. But yeah, stating the obvious over here.
That's crazy. Yeah, I don't know. It's weird too. So like, do you guys have I guess suburban hunting up there too? Because that's where I'm seeing a lot of the weirder, more. I mean, again, hate to keep bringing them up, but look at Lee and Drew and those guys. I mean, Lee's killed what, 2 or 3 non-typicals. That's an hour from where I live.
Yeah,
I think it's that up there.
Like, there's one at my wife's grandpa's farm right now. He's a non-typical, but he's like 2 years old. So like, we let him all go this year, and he's just got some like weird funk going on. It's like his main beam didn't really grow out. It all just kind of like went up. So he's got like 4 like right here. This side's just kind of like a little fork. So we're just kind of excited to see what he does. So like that's the only one I really know of right here. And I'm like just outside Lexington. When I was in Lexington, like we had a couple people would show me their deer, and they'd be 160, 170 class deer within 2 miles where I worked. And I'm working like just on the outskirts of town. So like there's definitely big bucks there, but I never saw anyone showing me any non-typicals that were, excitable.
Yeah. So I mean, can you guys suburban hunt up there or suburban bow hunt?
Yeah. I mean, these guys were one of the guys from Seek One, they did that challenge or whatever. I think one of those guys was in Kentucky.
Huh. Because I mean, I know they've been up there. My thing is like I'm loyal, right? Like I really appreciate the OG stuff.
Yeah.
So when the new guys come in, it takes me a minute to sort of get used to it because it doesn't feel like I'm watching a Seek One video.
Right.
So I haven't seen any of those, but I do know that Lee went up there and killed. I think it was like a cemetery buck or something. It was like a 170.
That sounds right.
Yeah. And
like I don't know where that was. Like they don't say places, which is great,
Yeah.
Kind of like the video where it's like how Chris B ruined Kansas or whatever that was. He went to Kansas day one, shot that. What was like 180?
Yeah, like 183 non-typical or something.
And everyone just thinks like, oh, I can go to Kansas and do this. Like, no, you can't. That was crazy luck. Like he just picked a spot, happened to be a good spot. Like I went to Ohio this year. I know Ohio fairly well. I had some time to scout it, and I shot this buck because I had 3 days to hunt, and my wife was tired of me hunting already because I'd hunted quite a bit in Kentucky. I had several bucks in Kentucky I was after at her parents' place or her grandparents' place. Then gun season came in, and opening day of gun season, I was bow hunting still. I heard 35 gunshots by 11, and about 4 of those were about 30 minutes before daylight.
Oh,
yeah. And then I did not see another buck the rest of the year on that farm, except a couple nighttime ones on camera. So I had a couple studs just vanish after vanished. They were shot.
Yeah.
So this guy came in. He was the first decent buck I'd seen all year. He's probably 125. Definitely had some ground shrinkage. He doesn't have a brow tine on one side. He broke it off fighting, I guess. He came in, biggest buck I'd seen all year in person. Shot him. Walked up on him. I was like, oh, oops. But I was happy with him, so I got him. This one's actually got a cool story to it. This one
I wanted to ask you about him, dude. I can't stop but like look at him. I keep catching myself glancing over to him.
Yeah, so he's a cool buck. Last year, Jonathan from Redbeard Outdoors and then Jeff Barrow came with me to Ohio to hunt. The plan was to hunt public, and then we got word of this deer hanging around my parents' farm. And so we kind of started hunting him, and the joke was like, I was just calling him Tiny because he's the smallest, the biggest deer we've seen. So we're calling him Tiny. And I had not seen him once. Jeff saw him once, but those guys were supposed to kind of be more on the public side of things. And because my parents only had 40 acres. So if we have us 3, then my dad, and then other family hunting, it was over pressured.
Yeah.
on 40 acres. So it was my dad's best friend's last day. He's like, well, I've been seeing him over in this field on the neighbor. And they're all hunting like set stands. Well, Jeff and Jonathan aren't, but my family hunts. You set a stand and you leave it and you hunt it. Mm-hmm. Or they have a climber, and they just couldn't get into where they were seeing them at. So I went and did a quick scout, saw a scrape, and put my saddle up. And I was like 30 yards to my left is where he's going to come in at. So I'm sitting there, and I have a video of him I've never put out because it was a terrible shot. Terrible mistakes. But I'm sitting there looking on the left side of the tree. I'm like, where's he at? Like, I saw him coming from like 80 yards away, making a scrape, coming in. I'm watching. I'm like, where'd he go? And I peek around this side of the tree, and he'd done a 90-degree turn. I was like, dang it. So I have to like get everything over my tether, around the tree, get my camera reset. And I'd ranged the trees beforehand. And I was like, perfect. 25 yards in front of that tree. And I didn't stop him. I don't know why I didn't stop him. But he's walking, and I just shoot mid-stride. And I shoot way low, and it just like puts a cut on his belly. I was like, how did I hit that low? And he runs out to about 75, 80 yards and is just standing in the field. And I can see something hanging off his stomach. I was like, what the heck is that? I'm like, well, I'm going to fling another arrow at him, I guess. Yeah. So I go to get my arrows, drop my whole quiver, grabbed one arrow. It's got a torn fletching on it. It was a terrible scenario. I wasn't prepared. I launch an 80-yard arrow at him. It gets about 5 yards from him, and he darts. It hits right where his feet were. I would have missed either way. Yeah. He takes off running. I'm sick. I'm like, it's like a TV show, man. I'm like, last morning of the last day of the last hunt of the year, like, comes down to the wire. He takes off. I get down. I'm just sick. And my dad calls me. My dad's like, hey, I shot a buck. I'm like, great. Well, I wounded one, so I feel terrible. Yeah. I'd rather miss, And because I go back and get all my stuff. I'm walking back to the house, head down, not even paying attention, not even looking for anything. And I look up as I cross off my neighbor's property back onto my parents' property through a gate, and he's 20 yards in front of me just staring at me. I was just like, I froze. I don't have an arrow knocked. I have a camera in this hand. I was just like,
throw the camera at him.
Yeah, so I was like,
try to knock him out.
He takes off running, and there's just blood pouring down both of his legs. So I was like, did I wound this deer more than I think? So I go back to the house. We go find my dad's deer. We come back, and I'm like, I'm just going to backtrack to from where I saw him at the last chance and walk back. And I go back to a barbed wire fence he had jumped, and there was meat on the barbed wire fence. So we ended up tracking him over a mile. It was like a mile and a half, zigzagging. I had Jonathan helping me look, my dad helping me look, and we ended up bumping him like 4 hours later. We came back, and it was like 2 hours rest, started tracking, 4 hours. And I'm like, we got to get back because Jonathan has to catch a flight back to Utah. Jeff had to leave already. And we bump him, and he takes off running. My dad's like, he's got blood pouring out of him. And we wait a little bit. I'm like, we'll give it one more go, quick look, and then I got to leave. And leave, come back. That was November 11th or 12th. I come back in January. My dad had looked and looked and looked. My dad looked for probably 15 hours or so. Couldn't find him. Checked all the neighbors. No one's seen him. We go back in January. I look all over, and I'm about to go in this one ravine, which is the last place we saw him. And I see my dad come by on the side-by-side, and we're trying to go back in for lunch. We've been looking for like 6 hours. So go back. I just chalk him up as a loss. Stupid lights keep shutting off. Whatever. There we go. And then it's like 4 months later. So I shot him in November. It's Easter Sunday. I get a call from my dad, a FaceTime. And I ignore it because I'm with my in-laws and stuff for Easter. And then he said, hey, FaceTime me. So I open it, and he had found him. And he was 60 yards from where we'd stopped looking for him. Or that ravine I was about to go down into, like I probably would have bumped right into him. So shout out to my dad. He never gave up looking for him. I ended up scoring him 159 7/8. A squirrel chewed up this G3 over here. So if a squirrel hadn't chewed off that little piece, it would have been 160 flat. So I just say 160. But yeah, it was.
That's unreal.
I don't really know if my shot would have, fatally killed him. Like I think I just had skin. I think all I got was just a type of skin. I had a swacker.
Him open.
Yeah, I had a Levi Morgan swacker on there. 2-inch cut. Luckily, it hit this way. He just cut a big cut across it instead of this way. And I think he jumped that fence. That barbed wire caught him and just peeled him back. Oof. And I think that's what got him crazy. Like I thought he was gone forever. And
that's wild.
Dad didn't give up. Dad was resilient and found him.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Dude, that 160 inches. I'm sorry. That's one of those stories that you kind of have to take a minute to soak in.
Yeah. Like I wish I could have got him fully mounted, but like I wasn't going to. Like it's how we found him, so we just cleaned him up a little bit. It's how we left him, but like he's
good Lord.
I got some cobwebs on him, but you can see here where he was chewed up a little bit. Yeah. But yeah, he's a good deer.
Dude, I've seen literally one deer like that out here on public 2 years into bow hunting and completely botched it. It was terrible. So I'm glad you found yours. I'm still looking for mine, but yeah, that's I mean, so like what's the average size deer that you guys are seeing in Kentucky?
Well, average size seen versus average size harvested is very, very different. I mean,
true.
You know, I'll go out and see 5 deer that are between 115 to 130. Mm-hmm. But I think a lot of people are, especially archers, are letting them grow a little bit. Then when gun season comes in, everything gets shot. The pressure is astronomical in the area that I hunt. Where I live at right now, I'm out in the county a good ways. I'm 20 minutes from town. And I've seen 3 deer here in the 5 years I've lived in this house. And it's just like, there's just no deer. There's turkeys everywhere. It's turkey. Yeah. Just no deer. And so I got to travel a couple counties either way. And if you go east, you're going to be looking at 115 to 120 inches. If you go north or south, you're going to be looking more at the 130s to 140s.
Gotcha. Yeah. That's wild, dude. The only reason I asked because I got a buddy of mine who used to hunt up there with his dad. And the stories he's told me about his dad, I mean, that dude's killed some monsters in Kentucky. I don't know what part. It sounded like, after you saying that, it sounds like they were probably up north. Yeah. Because like our average, I mean, if you kill a 120 in Georgia, you're doing something. You know, I'm up here in Atlanta. Those Atlanta bucks are built different. My brother-in-law's got a place. Actually, what's honestly ironic about it is I grew up 20 minutes from where Lee and Drew grew up, and we're hunting, killing these giant deer, and I never knew you could even do that. Right. And then my brother-in-law now lives in the city that they live in hunting. And last October, because I've been working on him for probably a year now to be able to hunt his property. And it hasn't worked. I mean, it kind of has. He said once he moves, because he is planning on moving, he's like, you know, if I move during deer season, you can come hunt it. But last October, I saw 230-inch deer just in his backyard. Yeah. I'm like, I looked at him. I'm like, can I please just one? All I want is one. Like, you've seen the deer I've killed. My biggest deer is a 102 and 4/8. Yeah. Help a brother out. Right. Like, come on. And I think he actually sent me a photo of a deer that it was in his backyard this evening, and she looked rough. She looked real rough. It kind of worries me because we got our first case of CWD this year. Oh, yeah. And I can send you the photo. She's not looking too hot. That sucks. So, yeah, I don't know what's going on over there, but dude, Kentucky's a wild place. I mean,
you had west
to hunt there, but
if you head west, the out-of-towners have almost ruined the west. There's big bucks out west of Kentucky. Yeah. It's different. It's different. Like,
now, when you say out west, what? Give me a city so I know kind of like the area we're talking about.
Gosh, like Henderson, over towards Paducah, like over that way. The part of Kentucky that us Easterners don't consider Kentucky. That's like Missouri and the Flatlanders, where the mountain bucks. If you're getting a 120 mountain buck, it's a big buck. You know, there's definitely bigger ones. You got west, that's more agriculture. That's more like Midwest. Totally different style of hunting. There's some giants out there in north, up towards Ohio, giant bucks. So that's different. Like, and Kentucky is becoming a trophy state for sure, especially for velvets. And so all of our prices this year for out of state has like blown up. I don't remember exactly what they are, but it's gone up quite a bit for out of state hunters. So, which is probably a good thing. I think we should have a better ease of access between states, especially states you border. But I understand, like, you got to have money to make things operate too.
Yeah. That's wild, man. I don't know. I'll make it. So I heard a rumor, or maybe I heard from somebody that knows more than I do about this, but can you hunt elk in Kentucky now?
Yeah. Yeah. You've been able
Really?
to hunt elk in Kentucky for, I don't know, a long time.
Are they Rockies?
I don't know. I don't know what they are. I used to know where they came from. They were transplanted in from, I don't know where. I forget.
I
But
know
there
we
was
have them in what is it, Tennessee and North Carolina, but they're not. I think Tennessee just now got their numbers up to where they do like a very, very limited lifetime hunt where you just get one tag only.
Yeah.
So I wasn't sure if Kentucky was the same way. Because I mean, I don't know if everybody knows this or not, but elk used to be all over our area. Kentucky, Georgia, and now they're not. So
Yeah. Well, even deer. Deer were, growing. In the '80s, if you found a deer track in Kentucky, it was a big deal. Like, you call your
really,
buddies up, and you come look at deer track. It was decimated. Like, it was just the Wild West on deer hunting. There was nothing. And like you said, if you shot an 80-inch to 100-inch deer, you go around showing all your buddies. And then it just changed so much, and they did a great job managing the population. And same thing with elk. Elk were decimated. I believe they were fully extinct from Kentucky, and they reintroduced them. They did a great job managing them. It was a random draw hunt. I've been putting in for 8 or 9 years now. Never been drawn, obviously, but they just changed it I think it was last year, that it's no longer a random draw. Like, if you don't get drawn, you get better odds each year.
Oh, okay.
Like
kind of like a point system.
Yeah, preference point system kind of.
Got it.
Which makes way more sense. Like,
Yeah.
It was not fair for someone's first time to get drawn, or first time to put in to get drawn, versus old man Joe who's been putting in for 20 years who's never gotten drawn. So if you do get drawn, you have to wait a year before you can get drawn again, or before you can enter again.
Okay.
So you can technically get drawn your first year.
Yeah.
Putting in, but chances are it's going to take you a few years. There's definitely, I think, some fishy stuff going on. Some big names get some tags. That's like, well, how'd you all get these tags? And plenty of out of state people get tags, because they're willing to pay for them. So I don't know if they're given guide hunts. Like, I don't know if they're getting so many tags to sell or something. I'm not sure how that's working exactly. There's also the big issue of when they introduced elk, it was all like small private land and public land. Well, some people saw the opportunity, capitalized on it, bought up all the land. And now you got to pay for a guided service to try to hunt or get permission. It's just a pain in the butt to try to get them on a public spot.
Dude, I've had this conversation a couple times, but like, people saying that hunting's becoming a rich man's sport.
Yeah.
I hear it from both sides, and hearing that, I mean, I can't say, I don't know what I would do, honestly. If I had money like that, where I could just go buy up a big piece of land that's got elk on it and get a, resident tag, or be able to draw the tag, or do whatever I could to get it.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would do it. Because on one hand, would I want to? Yes. But is it fair to everybody else? No. And if I've got that money, why not just go on like a guided Wyoming hunt?
Right. It comes down to, like, as hunters, we should want to protect the land and take care of the land. Like, we're trying our best as hunters to keep as much land as possible, but then you get the hunters that just want to get all the land possible for themselves, and that's been going on for eternity. Ever since the dawn of time, it's people fighting over land.
Yeah.
And, they don't make any more of it, so it is what it is. So it's trying to keep it from becoming incorporated. Like, my neighbors right next door, there's 13 acres went up for sale next to them, and they bought it just so no one would buy it and develop it, because it was perfect for road frontage. We're 30 minutes outside Lexington. It's like a hot spot, but they're like, we don't want more people out here. We want to keep the land. So they planted some trees and put up some wildflowers for the bees, and they're just like, it's just nature. Go paths and walk it, and that's about it.
Dude, that's the right way to do it.
Yeah, I'm like, heck yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely the right way to do it. I mean, I understand people need places to live, but like out here where I live, man, there was this one spot that I'd always known to see deer. Like never anything big, but there was always deer, and I only knew this really because you'd see them dead on the road, but they were there. And I remember one time how long ago was it? It was like 4 or 5 years ago. Driving home with my wife and seeing this nice sized doe with two little fawns just cross the road, just a little family outing kind of thing. And the next year, that same piece of woods was completely flattened out, and now there's apartment buildings there, and everyone's complaining. They're like, "Oh, there's so many people, crime's up, this, that." I'm like, "Yeah, well, you did it to yourself. Like, you literally brought these people in here, and I'm not hating on them, but it's like, what do you think's gonna happen?" So I don't know, man. It's heartbreaking. Like even my hometown, an hour away from here where I grew up, there's places that my entire childhood I would go play in the woods. Me and my buddies would go get lost in the woods, and now it's a subdivision. Yeah, I'll drive by and tell my wife and point at it, and she gets so mad because I do it every single time. But I'm like, "Yeah, you see that subdivision over there? Yeah, me and my buddy Brad used to go back in there and shoot paintballs at each other." Yeah, like, yeah, you told me that. Like every time we drive by, I'm like, "Yeah, because it's depressing. I want to relive it and know that something good happened there, rather than possible drug deals that are happening now." I mean, it's a whole thing, dude. And I don't know, I could go down that rabbit hole, but I want to ask you, so we have kind of been going at this a little bit close to an hour, but I do want to touch on this. So on your Instagram page, I obviously looked you up to see, some stuff to maybe talk about and sort of get to know what's on there. And I noticed in your bio, you had some faith related stuff. How important is your faith to everything that you do with, Bloodlines Archery and just really all of it?
It's the most important thing. It's the only thing that matters. I mean, I listened to your podcast with Ben from Scoutek. Ben is a dear brother of mine. I told Rebecca, my wife named Rebecca, and I told her, I was like, I think some of my closest friends are people on social media that I've never met. Like
same.
Ben, like if something's bothering me, like I can shoot Ben a text, like, "Hey, I got this going on. Like, can you pray for me?" Or my buddy Steve, Wild Pines Pursuit. Same thing. Like me and him talk. I talk to him more than I do probably most of my family. And it's just like daily stuff. Like, "Hey, have a great day. Kill the week. Whatever." So that's not what you asked, but
I mean, it plays into it.
Yeah. So like it's the most important thing when it comes down to it. Like all this stuff is going to be gone. Like I am 2 generations away from being forgotten forever. Like my kids, my grandkids, if I'm lucky, my great grandkids might have a memory or 2 of me. If I change my diet, they will. If I don't, I'm going to die young. But at the end of the day, it matters what I'm teaching my kids and exposing them to, and knowing that our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ is the only way through heaven. And like that's all that matters. Like this stuff will all be gone. This is all just stuff. We can't take it with us. Can't take our bodies with us. Stories and experiences are what really matters, and that's goes back into hunting. To me, is almost spiritual. Like God put us on this earth to take care of the earth and tend the earth. I don't think He put us here to build giant complexes, apartments, and skyscrapers. In the Bible, they tried to build a skyscraper and they all got confused in their language. So I think there's something spiritual about it. There's the Fred Bear saying about when you're hunting and you're doing it the right way, you're 20 feet closer to God. I think there's something about that. I always try to read my Bible when I'm in the stand and spend that time with Him and being in nature. And so getting people reintroduced to the sport of hunting is also a great opportunity to witness to them. So what I've tried to do every year is I try to pick one person out that doesn't hunt. And like you said, it's kind of a rich man's sport. Like if you go out, do you golf by chance?
Been once, did terrible.
Okay. Yeah. So let's say you decide I want to get into golf. Where do you start? You got to get clubs. Are you going to buy $200 clubs? Are you going to buy $2,000 clubs? Are you going to buy?
I'm going to Walmart. I'm getting $20 clubs.
Right.
I didn't spend all that money on that.
Right. But then you got to get shoes. You got to figure out where to go. You got to figure out how to do it. How do you hold your club? You're going to watch YouTube videos. Where are you going to practice at? You got to pay to practice. all this stuff. Hunting's no different. Like if you're going to get a cheap bow, you're still going to pay $400 to $600.
Mm-hmm.
Your arrows, you could be paying, $60 to $200. You got to get your broadheads. It might be $60 for 3. Anyways, all that, it's daunting to get people into the sport of archery or into the sport of hunting.
Yeah.
Camo, you could pay anywhere up to $1,200 for a kit of camo. So what I try to do is I try to have enough gear that I can loan it to somebody to get them started in it for the first year. Teach them how to shoot, teach them where to get a bow, how to shoot the bow, how to take care of the bow, how to shoot a deer, where to shoot a deer, how to find a deer, how to scout, all that stuff. And in that time that we spend together is the opportunity to witness. There's so much you can do from putting a verse on Instagram. I think that's great. I do it. I do a couple devotionals through Reels or whatever. It's fantastic. Mm-hmm. But how much more are you getting from saying a verse versus spending one-on-one time with someone for 40 hours throughout the year and having that opportunity to disciple them?
Yeah.
The Great Commission says, go and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. It doesn't say just go say a couple scriptures and dust your feet off and keep going. It says to make disciples. So what are we doing as people to further make disciples and grow the kingdom of God? I know I'm all over the place. I'm scatterbrained.
No, you're good. I'm loving it.
I got a touch of ADD. So that's kind of plays into all of it as well, So luckily the people I've taken so far are children of Christ, children of God. But I'd like to get to a point where I can use this as more of a, not just that I'm going to teach you how to hunt. I'm going to teach you more about Christ and the spiritual side of it, and try to use my platform, kind of as Ben was saying, like this is all just an opportunity given to me to help spread the word. And that's how it needs to be taken. There's plenty of people out there putting on, how do you tie a D-loop? There's plenty of people doing that. How do you tune a bow? How do you make arrows? Tons of it. What can I do different? How can I share the gospel?
Yeah.
That's all that matters.
God, I love it. I love when I get to talk about this stuff, man. It's funny you say that though, because I've always said that, like, all right, so I'll give a little background. I don't know if I've talked about this on the podcast, but I grew up Catholic, right? Full entire family. My grandmother, I mean, literally this chain my grandmother gave me that was blessed by some priest in Greece, right? And she was big on all of that. But as a kid, especially a kid with ADD, I did not like the structure of it. I went to a Catholic school and I absolutely hated it.
Yeah.
Never really thought like, God didn't exist or anything like that, but I didn't have a relationship with Jesus like I do now, coming up and all of that. And when I got into hunting, that's when I started sort of dabbling into it more, because I was out there by myself in the quiet, being able to just look up and see like the sunrise or the sunset. I mean, seeing the woods come to life in the morning is one of the most amazing things that I think every single person needs to experience.
Yeah.
And I've been able to sort of find God in that. And then sort of full circle, I've got buddies now that are hunters that I talk to every day, like what you were saying, that you've never met him in person. One of my best friends lives in Michigan. I've never met this kid in my life, but I talk to him every single day. He's been on the podcast a million times. He's my go-to person with it. And I've been able to sort of help, because I am by no means extremely well-versed in this. I just got saved dude, honestly, I'd say a year ago. I got baptized a year ago. All right. And I've just dove headfirst into this.
Yeah.
And it's funny because, I used to be like, oh yeah, God will take care of it. And that's all I'd say. Now, if they come to me with a problem or I go to them with a problem, we can talk about this and have open faith discussions. And it's gotten to the point, one of my buddies called me 2 weeks ago, and this dude, he's been through a lot this past year. And I just keep telling him, dropping those little seeds, hey man, read your Bible a bit, pray about it. If he calls me up and he's doing something stupid, I'm like, listen, I'm gonna pray for you, but when you get home, call me, and I got some stuff I want to tell you.
Yeah.
And he called me up 2 weeks ago, and he was like, I'm gonna ask you something. I don't know how I'm gonna ask this, but I'm just gonna say it. And I was like, the things you've asked me before and said to me before, I don't know if it could be any worse. It's like one of those, dude. But he goes, how do I become a better Christian? And I've never been asked that. I've never thought anybody would ask me that. Right. And it all relates back to the hunting side, because that's where I found my faith. That's what led me to get to know this dude. And I just told him, I'm like, I don't know how to answer that. I was like, the way I did it, I just read the Bible, willingly surrendered myself to Jesus, and then started praying. And, things have sort of worked out from there. And so, yeah, I love getting to hear like, other people's stories that relate to the hunting or to hunting and the outdoors and their faith and stuff. Because I'll be honest, dude, when I saw Bloodlines Archery, my first thought was like the bloodlines that you see in the Bible.
Yeah.
Well, that still trickles down to us. So I don't know if that was what you intended, but that's what I pretty made the correlation there.
Yeah. Well, a big part of my daggone lights. It's like you're sitting in the bathroom stall and like the lights go off and you're like, I'm not. Man, my brain's scattered. What were you saying? Oh, so like, how do you become a better Christian? Is like, I've been asked that question before too, and it's seems so complicated, but like it's such a straightforward answer. Like, it's a relationship, right? Like it's a relationship with God. Well, how would your relationship be with your wife if you only talk to her on Sundays?
I wouldn't have a wife.
Right. You would have your back. You basically turned your back on her.
Yep.
And she would turn her back on you. If you didn't talk to any girlfriend, any friend, but when you needed something, like they wouldn't consider you much of a friend. Mm-hmm. The cool thing is, no matter how much you ignore God, the moment you decide to turn back to him, he's right there.
Yep.
And how do you build that relationship? You spend time with him. Well, it's easy for us to talk to God. How do we know when God talks back? We read the Bible. That's the word of God. So spending intentional time reading the Bible is spending time building that relationship. If you don't stoke a fire repeatedly, it's going to burn out. You got to continue to throw wood on that fire. If you're driving up a hill in a standard truck and you kick it into neutral, think I'm going to coast for a little bit, you're rolling backwards. So you got to keep your foot on the gas, keep putting wood on the fire. I heard that at church camp one time about the wood on the fire, and that stuck with me for the last 20 years probably.
I'm clipping this and sending it to him. I'm like, hey, I didn't name drop you, but here you go.
Yeah, it's super important. I am guilty of not reading my Bible enough. I am guilty of not praying enough. We have this wonderful thing called grace. Yep. We have this wonderful thing called salvation. And, I am by no means a perfect Christian. I don't have it figured out. But those things really help me. Have you ever heard, I think it's a poem. It was real popular probably 15, 20 years ago. It was called Why I Hate Religion But Love Jesus Christ.
Mm-mm.
I'll have to send it to you. It's so good. And it's this guy basically saying, like, religion is a man-made invention.
Yep.
Religion is man searching for God. Christianity is God searching for man.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, if the one part I always remember is like, if grace was it grace? If grace was water, then the church should be an ocean. It's not a hospital for it's not a museum for good people. It's a hospital for the broken.
Yeah.
And that's what so many people don't realize. They're like, well, I was hurt by the church. It's like, that wasn't God. That was people.
Dude, I just had this conversation with my wife.
Yeah.
I literally had this exact conversation because we were talking about some of this stuff, and we've been watching The Chosen. It's the best show ever.
I need to watch it.
Huh?
I need to watch it.
Oh, dude. I don't know if you cry. I don't cry. That show is going to make you cry.
Really?
Like, every healing you see, you're just like a tear shedding, and you're like, God, I wish I was there.
Yeah.
But we had that conversation, and she told me, because, Southern Baptist stuff, and I don't know if you've ran into it, but the atypical idea of like the Southern Baptist church, I by no means am talking bad about them, but you kind of do have that gossipy side of churches down here. And, she was raised up in it, and it was one of those things where she had church hurt. And I had to tell her, I'm like, look, what you experienced there is not what Jesus was about. That is not Jesus. I was like, I met Jesus, not physically, unfortunately, but I've read the Bible enough. I've had my time with him enough. I know what he was about. And that's not it. And it took time though, because like, dude, I still struggle with the idea of, how he told, I think it was Matthew, he asked him, how many times should I forgive somebody? He goes, 7 times? He's like, no, 7 times 77 times, which basically means always forget. And it's like, dude, how do you're telling me that back when I was 21 and I was getting drunk as a skunk, drove home drunk, probably could have killed somebody, if not myself. I'm forgiven for that. And every single time I've done it since then. And it's, just have faith. It just blows my mind, dude. I didn't think this podcast was going to turn into a sermon. I love it. It's the best way to go. I don't know. I think it's good for people to listen to it and hear it because, like I said in every episode, I always say, if you don't know who Jesus is, give him a shot. Not trying to push him down your throat or anything, but give him a shot. Because, I mean, my life changed. I know that whoever's listening to this, their life's going to change.
Yeah. So, my pastor, he's my age. He's 30. And he hunted a couple times growing up. And me and him started hunting together a little bit this past year.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a great time, having your pastor also be a friend that you can talk to. And people don't realize, sometimes pastors have trouble making friends because everywhere they go, they're like, oh, this is my pastor. Instead of this is my buddy Dylan. They always got to be like pastoral.
You talking about Dylan Ray?
No.
Oh, okay. I was about to say Dylan.
No, I know Dylan. I don't know Dylan Ray personally, but no, Dylan here in Kentucky.
Got it.
But he did a sermon one time on the Lord's Prayer. And it's so simple. And I've said it my whole life, and I just never broke it down this way. But we say in the Lord's Prayer, forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors, or forgive us our sin as we forgive those who have sinned against us. And he's like, do you realize when you're saying that, you are asking God to forgive you in the same way that you will forgive others? So if you are not willing to forgive others, you're asking God, then don't forgive me either.
Yep.
Like, that's what you're saying there. And I'm like, oh, man, I need to be sure I'm doing a good job forgiving people. And there's another thing I heard, which I love, is there's a big difference between forgiveness and trust. Like if I walk by a snake, I'm like, that snake's not going to hurt me, and it bites me. I'm like, well, I forgive that snake for biting me because I walked too close to it. I'm not going to trust that snake not to bite me again if I walk past it.
Yeah.
And that applies so much in life. Like whether it's someone in your life who, has drug addictions or whatever, and they've ran you around for money or done something like that. Like I can forgive them for what they did, but I do not trust them at home alone with my kids or with my grandma and her pill cabinet or whatever. Like there's a fine line of forgiveness and trust. They are separate. And I think people need to realize that it's not blind trust and forgiveness.
Yeah. I mean, dude, I've got so much to think about now. Just in this whole conversation, I did not see it going this way, but yeah, I mean, it's just, I guess to circle back, faith is one thing that I think really needs to stay solidified in the hunting industry. Again, bringing them up, I'll give them credit. Seek One and Jay Maxwell, who I've been able to call a friend now for a couple of years. They are the reason why when I did this, I was able to make the connection between the two, hunting and my faith, and really sort of dive into it and be like, okay, I can do this without, because I never talked about it. If someone was like, oh, are you a Christian? I'd be like, yeah. And I mean, I never denied Jesus's divinity. I never denied what he did on the cross, but I never talked about it either. And I've had experiences and stuff where, I've asked him for help and he's done it. But like now, dude, I could do an entire episode on this. I've got one of the guy from Created Outdoors coming on next month. And I don't know where that's going to go. I don't know if we're going to talk about hunting. We're going to talk about God the whole time. We're going to talk about both. But it's crazy because
they should be married. They should be one and the same.
Exactly. I'll tell you this one quick story before we get off of here that, and I do want to ask you something about Kentucky that has nothing to do with this, but I'm not going to do it on here. But I was at one of my hunting spots 2 years ago, and I don't know if you've ever seen anything like this, but I was sitting there. It was a cold morning, and you know how when it's really cold and it's clear out, you can see stars and stuff. Well, I'm in the tree stand, 25 foot up, just kind of looking around because I can't see anything down, below me yet. And so I'm just watching the sky, looking at the stars and stuff. And I see this one star that's kind of behind this tree. And I'm looking at it, and for some reason I can't look away, right? And I'm just like, what? Is that a star? Dude, this thing literally went from, like, how Catholics do like the forehead, chest, shoulder thing?
Yeah.
This star literally went from up, down, to the middle, to the right, to the left. And I was just like, oh, this is going to be a good hunt. Okay. I just looked up. I was like, that was cool, man. I didn't see a single deer. but it was one of those where it's kind of like a reassurance, where it's like, okay, you are out here, you're doing this. I'm still here. I'm still with, and there's a comfort to that. So I thought about that. I wanted to tell you about it. The listeners probably thinking I'm crazy or doing drugs before I go in the woods, but I promise I'm clean. But yeah, faith, that's why I wanted to bring it up, because faith is so important in this. And, I think I asked Michael Waddell one time about it, and he was just like, oh yeah, man, I'm out there and I feel God out there, and it's cool to hear somebody that high up there talk about it. We didn't go as deep as we are,
Right.
It's just cool. Like, it's there. Hunting, I feel like, is so open to it.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I love it. I feel like I'm rambling now about it.
No,
So I apologize.
I can talk about it.
Well, dude, I appreciate you coming on. Why don't you give us a shameless plug real quick? Thank you for all the words about the word. That was awesome. That seems to be a trend that's happening here a little bit lately. But yeah, give us a shameless plug before we sign off here.
Yeah, you guys can find me on Instagram, Bloodlines Archery, or YouTube, Bloodlines Archery. That's pretty much the only two places I post, really. I don't really use my Twitter or whatever the new Instagram one is. I don't even know what it's called, or TikTok.
Threads or something like that.
Yeah, I don't use any of those. So yeah, Instagram is the main one. YouTube. I got some stuff coming down the pipes there with some companies. So hopefully got some cool stuff coming out. So yeah.
You gonna see any turkeys?
I've not seen any yet. I've not had a chance to really go out and scout any. But once I got this property on the backside of my property that my neighbor lets me hunt, and once they always strut back there. It's a strut zone. So once they start moving there is when I start getting excited.
Nice. Well, Justin, thank you for coming on, man. And we're gonna have to do this again. I kind of want to do, since you're more in the southern-ish area, I do want to do another episode in the summertime talking about early season tactics.
Sure.
That's kind of something I'm gonna focus on at the latter end of the summer. So if you have the time, I'd love to get you back on so we can cover all that.
Oh yeah, that'd be great.
Awesome, man. Well, till next time, buddy.
All right, brother. Take care. Thanks.